Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming. I hope you've had a fine conference so far. I'd like to make it better by talking about next generation scheduling capabilities and how the latest developments of Microsoft and our own software make it easier than ever to build powerful solutions for your customers. As you probably know, we at Dime Software have specialized in scheduling add-ons for Microsoft Dynamics and Microsoft 365. Today, I'd like to highlight the connectivity and the cross-app cooperation to create end-to-end workflows backed by some clever algorithms. At this point, I should make a confession because most of what I'm going to show today isn't actually live yet. So if you're not going to stick around for the content, you might just want to hang out to see a crash or two of the applications. But I'm not going to beat around the bush any further and head straight to the action. I've worked out a simple case where I'll schedule technicians that install heating machines and air conditioners, and I'll be scheduling them through sales orders with the idea of as soon as a sale is made, we'll register it in Business Central and find a technician to carry out the work as soon as possible. So with that in mind, I'll hop over to Business Central, and I've already opened our sales orders list here. And as we can see, we have about 15 sales orders yet open, so we're going to have to plan all of these. And let me open just one here, this one for Karmic Capital. I know for this one we sold a couple of air conditioning units and the customer wants it installed as soon as possible. So when we do the planning, we'll need to take this into account too. Now for the planning part itself, we could use our planning tool Dime.Scheduler. As you know, this is our graphical planning layer on top of ERP, CRM and other line of business systems. When we have it, we can use it by going to the Actions menu, heading over to the Dime.Scheduler submenu and then send the order so we can look more easily for a resource that is available, qualified and nearby. So when I do this, we'll send everything we've got over to the planning tool and it will be made available in the open task list, which is this component here that shows all the work that is still unplanned. So the idea is to get this list as empty as possible, which could take some time if you want to plan manually. Fortunately, we have the tools to help you mix and match resources to tasks, such as the map, the resource filter component, the planning board, and so on. So typically, a planner will construct a filter, look for somebody with a certain certification, filter out the resources, and then drag and drop the task to a resource with a certain date and time. Now, instead of doing this manually, I'd like to bring in the help of a brand new friend of ours. You see, the last couple of months, we've been working on a prototype that focuses exclusively on scheduling optimization with data from systems like Business Central. When I sent this sales order to Dime.Scheduler, I actually also sent it to our optimizer's staging area, which would be this component right here. And you can see there's a basic planning board that shows the timeline for the same resources that we had in Business Central and Dime.Scheduler. And then we'll use the planning board in a second to show and assess the generated results from the optimizer. So let's have a look at the work that we want to schedule. If I hit the button here, it shows a grid, which shows the same list as the one we saw in Business Central and Dime.Scheduler. The columns we see here are the variables that are in play. So for each order we indicate how long it will take, what the requirements are, how high the priority is, and where the job needs to be done. So we fill out the address as well. In addition to these variables, we'll also add to the mix the availability of resources, their skill sets, and their locations. All of this we'll throw into the blender, which will be started when I click on the Optimize button right here which will start the algorithm do its thing. This could take a couple of seconds, so in the meantime I'll close this window for now and navigate to the refresh button here to see if the job is done yet. Let's see, it's not ready yet, but the results will come in soon, I'm sure. There we go already. So the planning board is filling up nicely. And while the algorithm is adding appointments, let me just tell you the difference between the colors. The appointments that are orange, they represent heating jobs. So we can already see these heating jobs here have been assigned to a resource that works in the heating department. Similar results can be noticed with the blue appointments, which represent air conditioning jobs. You can see they have all been assigned to resources that are qualified to do that kind of work. So I think the algorithm has finished, and I would say the schedule looks pretty good, because we can also see the high priority items are put in front of the queue. So they will be done first and before the others. But not necessarily always, like we can see in this case here, because we also take into account the availability of resources, the duration of the task, and more, or as important, the route. We're going to take the route and traffic time and fuel cost into account. So we want to minimize the total cost of doing the work. I'd say this schedule looks pretty good. So what we can do next is submit our plan that we're currently seeing. We could potentially opt to send the data back to Business Central directly, but for me to show something very nice indeed, I'd like to send everything over to Dime.Scheduler, because that will allow me to show something about the Power Platform. If I hit the submit button, it will create appointments in Dime.Scheduler, and we'll see appointments flying in onto our planning board. And at the same time, on the left hand side, you can see the open task list is good as empty, which makes sense because we just planned all our work automatically. So those who have worked with our software before will know exactly what's going on here. As soon as we make a modification to our planning, we'll notify the underlying back office system of these changes. So in this instance, for sales orders, we'll add a sales order line to the order they belong to. This is well understood, and I'm not going to go into further detail here, because I'd like to talk about the power of the Power Platform. With our brand new Power Platform connector, we can send data back and forth by just clicking and dragging our apps and flows together. For the purposes of this demo, I've created a Power Automate flow, which we can see here, which is invoked by Dime.Scheduler as soon as we do something to our planning. So our flow consists of 3 steps. The first step is it will create an adaptive card in Teams that shows information of our appointment alongside a text box that prompts the email address of the customer to send an email to. Once we submit the card, we will proceed with actually sending the email to that customer to notify the appointment has been confirmed, and then we'll finish off with an action to update the appointment in Dime.Scheduler, and we'll add a time marker to update the status so the planner can see what's going on with the schedule. So he will see the appointment will be confirmed. So the first step is to go to Teams and see if there's not an adaptive card there already. So here we go. This is one of the cards that have been added. So we can see clearly appointment information of the one we just created in the optimizer and Dime.Scheduler. And then the thing we have to do yet is enter our email address. So for the sake of simplicity, I'll just use myself. And as soon as I hit this button, it will send the email to myself, in this case, holding the same exact information as the appointments we saw in Dime.Scheduler and also in the optimizer. So the email is sent. That leaves us with one step still to go, and that is to update the appointment in Dime.Scheduler. So for appointment Real Cloud, we should see the appointment will now have a horizontal box at the bottom that indicates the appointment has been confirmed. So we can see clearly this one here, it has been confirmed. And if I open up the details, we can also see this, this status change. So this is quite nice. I think will add a lot of benefits for your customers. But to make the picture go full circle, we should also consider our technicians on the road. And that's what we try to address with our brand new mobile application. So I've got my mobile app here on screen, and it's been built for the people on the road, for the resources, rather than the planner. So I've logged in for Jack Rogers, which is one of the resources we saw on the planning board. And if I check out my schedule, we'll see the appointments will appear here as well. And if he wants to check the schedule of his colleagues, he can go to the all planning view, and then we'll see the exact same planning is visible here as well. And then we can always add more functionality, for example, use Google Maps to calculate the driving directions to the next site we need to go to. And the beautiful thing about all of this is that it is coming from one single stream of data. And I think it's quite impressive how much can be done with so little effort, and this will really increase the value and minimize mistakes and errors. Now, as far as our software is concerned, the mobile app is good to go. We are almost ready. We're just awaiting submission in the stores, but that should be coming in October, best case. Once that's in the bag, we'll focus on the Power Platform connector. I hope we can get a preview out the first quarter of 2023. And in the meantime, we'll be working on the scheduling optimization product, which I showed today. And I urge you to come talk to us so we can build and take into account your suggestions so we can make something that's really usable for your customers. And finally, last but not least, we're putting most of our development efforts on a SaaS-based offering of Dime.Scheduler. We're making cracking progress. There's no ETA yet, but if things go well, we might get something out earlier than expected. So I hope you liked this session. I hope you like what we're doing as a company. Feel free to stop by our booth. We're giving away some prizes, so come say hi. And until then, have a nice conference. Thank you.